right? Like,
there's this thing that a lot of commentaries that Nigeria had aired as a nation to develop or evolve strong airlines to utilize the bilateral rights. And once there are no airlines from the Nigerian side consummating these buses, what you do as a state, you create excess load factor on the foreign carrier that is doing its own, consummating its own rights. And that in essence creates a problem, because most of those who are traveling are Nigerians. In the absence of the reciprocal flights, are you going to stop the other carrier from coming or asking for additional frequencies? And these requests for additional frequencies are scientific. In air transport economics, the fact of the matter is that once an airline is averaging 70, 80, 85% load factor, there's a tendency that is doing full flights most of the times. And when they come asking for additional frequencies, you have to grant. You are under obligation to grant, because it is your people who are traveling. And the fact is that you don't have any airline to do these reciprocal flights. You recall a fully grown airline with commercial arrangements with other airlines like Codeshare, Interlines, and other things. I can assure you the Middle East routes who pass through that route are either businessmen who go to Asia Pacific, buy their cargo, their goods, they put them on board the airline straight to Lagos, areas as it were, and it has become restrictions. You can designate as many airlines as you can as a state. The markets become a common single domestic market for all carriers. So I think the challenge before Nigerian carriers or Nigeria as a state is to invest or create that enabling environment for strong airlines to evolve, to be able to compete with their international counterparts. There has been calls that airlines should merge. The laws do not allow NCA to coerce airlines into mergers. Mergers are regulated by other entities set out by law in Nigeria. So and usually you force mergers when airlines are on the stock exchange market and they are not performing very well. You now step in to intervene to get them to come together to be stronger, so that investors' monies do not go down the drain. So how many of our airlines today are on the stock market? And even those that have gone to the stock market, how have they fared? So I think our problem is more of a national issue than the aviation industry. The NIPC Act says a foreigner can own business 100% in Nigeria, but the sectoral legislation like the Civil Aviation Act says for you to do business in Nigeria as an airline, majority stake should be held by Nigerians or its nationals. By Nigeria or its nationals. Now, the question is that how many people have the deep pulse to invest in airline business? Are they ready to do that? Do we have the capacity? Considering what the experience in the industry today. So we need to review some of these laws so that we can encourage foreign direct investment into our nation, because these are some of the legislations that are restricting the entry of capital for investment in our sector in Nigeria.
So with all of this now, what would you say is the effect the effect of ticketing and orders in the aviation sector?
Ticketing I think is a product. It's a product, and the regime of ticketing in Nigeria is deregulated. The authorities do not regulate tickets. But then I think what
All right, we seem to have lost
What
Elitras. Yeah,
if you
Elitras.
want to,
Hello, Elitras, if you can
you
hear us.
should.
Yeah, basically, the question would be since the whole travel restriction now, what has been the multiply effect as regards ticketing and, of course, other, value chain that has to do with aviation, since most people are actually stranded, here in Nigeria, and, of course, those who should have been coming to Nigeria for transactions.
Higher than the supply, the fares would go up, and more so at this peak period. Any airline ticket you're buying at this period certainly will be near twice the amount you would have bought before. So, and with the reduction in this supply, that is the stoppage of the Emirates and other airlines into the country, of course, we are losing money, and we are going to lose money until this situation is restored. Recall that Emirates has not been flying into Nigeria for some time. For each flight that comes in, there are lots of payments that are made to relevant authorities: landing, parking, handling, ground handling charges, air navigation charges, ticket sales charge, and all this. So you can imagine with the stoppage of these operations, the industry, regulator, and service providers would feel the brunt in the negative. So for me,
Hello, Elitras, can you hear us?
Industry is in a recovery state. Most of the airlines are.
What we have as per capacity, COVID-19, arrivals, departure, as we round off this particular, session. COVID-19 has been around for over a year, and indeed, like I said before, the aviation industry actually came crashing, last year. So far, how would you say we have done vis-a-vis, protocols for our arrivals, departure, bearing in mind the pandemic and so far? How would you say we've done?
Well, in fact, Nigeria got recommendation from ICAO. Nigeria, the regulatory authority, has gotten several recommendations and awards for sterling performance in the management of the COVID-19 crisis. So for me, the protocols, if you look at recently, the Civil Aviation Authority published new protocols for arrivals and departures from Nigeria. Basically, there's nothing new. It's still the same old protocols that have been placed, that have been reinforced. The only new addition is that there's an option as to some jurisdictions if you have been reinstated. So when you arrive, you have to go through quarantine and do another test before you can be allowed to come out of isolation.
All right. Don't you think Nigeria should take maybe the civil aviation sector, that these are still on whatever you come with, you just be allowed entry without requisite tests and other requirements? What are your thoughts, really?
I think that is incorrect. I don't want to make generalization on this issue. Experience, I went to one of the labs to do a test because I needed to travel just recently without going through the necessary protocols. However, there have been reported cases that of some untoward practices by some of the authorities, which I believe the government has taken adequate measures to ensure that only